Hi guys, James back with another video, and I was gonna do another one ahead of this one, but then I looked over this list again and I thought it'd be more enjoyable to do this one first. So without further ado, if you clicked on this, you know that this is the top 10 comedies part 2. So I did the top 10 comedies a little while ago. So not too long ago, when I was building up another stockpile of lists, I realized that I had several comedies that could fit into this list, and some that there was one particular one on this list that I found on Google Play that nearly made the Google Play, both of the Google Play films, part 1 and part 2. It just barely got knocked off. But then when I thought of this list, the top 10 comedies part 2, I figured it would fit in nicely. Okay, so we will start with number 10. Okay, number 10, we have a film from 1995, and it's National Lampoon film. It's National Lampoon's Senior Trip. Now this one I remember seeing the preview either on TV or in the theaters, and it looked pretty funny. When I finally saw it, I thought it was pretty funny. And this one is actually the feature film debut of Jeremy Renner. If you saw him talk about his career on YouTube somewhat recently, I was hoping he'd reference this one, and he did, because it was his first feature film. Now this one's basically a bunch of screw-up students go on a trip to Washington, and it's all basically, it's a ploy. I think it's a ploy by it's a senator or something. He's trying to sabotage his rival, so he just uses this trip as a ploy. But it ends up just being just a wacky high school comedy. And you've got Jeremy Renner in his first film. You have Matt Frewer, Tommy Chong is in there, Kevin McDonald from Kids in the Hall as a crossing guard who has a obsession with Star Trek. And I guess a lot of the other actors you may not recognize. So there's Nicole DeBoer. Yeah, you may recognize them from other movies, but it's mostly Jeremy Renner, Matt Frewer, and Kevin McDonald that you'd recognize. And it's a fun movie. National Lampoon's Senior Trip. All right, number 9. Number 9, we have a film from 2014 called Playing It Cool. And this is a romantic comedy starring, you have Chris Evans, Michelle Monaghan, Anthony Mackie. And so I think this was around the time that, I think it was released in the same year, I believe, as Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which was when Chris Evans and Anthony Mackie joined the MCU, so they showed up in the same film. So it was good to see these two back in this one, because I saw this one probably like a year or two after seeing The Winter Soldier. You've also got Aubrey Plaza, Patrick Warburton, Ioan Gruffudd, Topher Grace, and it's essentially Chris Evans is a screenwriter in LA who's really not interested in getting into a relationship, not interested in being in love himself, but he has writer's block, and he's trying to write about true love without actually experiencing it himself. And he ends up basically falling for a woman, falling in love, which is something he just doesn't do. So that's the little internal conflict he has there, and it's funny, and it's got a great supporting cast that I already mentioned. Is there any other ones in there? Martin Starr's in there, Luke Wilson, Philip Baker Hall, Ashley Tisdale, Beverly D'Angelo. So it's a great supporting cast, and it's a fun romantic comedy, and it shows Chris Evans doing a lot more than just the serious Captain America role, if you haven't seen him do much outside of that. So that's Playing It Cool. All right, number 8, we have a film from 2016, another one that I found on Google Play, and it is called Brother Nature. This one stars Taran Killam, Bobby Moynihan from Saturday Night Live, Gillian Jacobs, Rita Wilson, Bill Pullman, and yet Taran Killam, he's planning on proposing to his girlfriend, played by Gillian Jacobs, and he goes to the family cabin to meet her family, and that's where he plans to propose. Almost immediately, he gets latched onto by her brother, what will soon to be his brother-in-law, and just wants to become his new best friend. But then everything he's trying to do to work up to proposing to her just keeps falling flat. She has a very weird family, and he's about to propose to his girlfriend, but her brother wants to propose to his girlfriend, and it's sort of like, oh, just whatever you do, I want to propose first. I want to make it special, and he's sticking to his proposal plan, and just everything he does is wrong, and everything he does is wrong to the family, and everything is screwing up, but it's got a lot of heart to it, and she has a great family. He just has to learn how to go with the flow with them. Yeah. Anyway, so that is Brother Nature. It is very funny. Okay, number 7. We have a film from 2017, a film called All Nighter. This one I just picked up on a whim. I thought it looked interesting and sounded interesting. And this one stars J.K. Simmons, Emile Hirsch, Kristen Schaal. Let me see, there are other John Daly, Annalee Tipton. Yeah. And it's Emile Hirsch. Emile Hirsch has a girlfriend. And I honestly can't remember the name of his girlfriend because she's barely in the movie. So he has a girlfriend and they're together, and then it cuts to 6 months later. Well, Emile Hirsch gets a knock at the door, and it's J.K. Simmons, and he's his girlfriend's father. And he's showing up because she has disappeared. She's not answering her calls or emails, and she's essentially disappeared. So the father comes to the boyfriend's place to find out where she is. And he's like, well, we broke up and I have no idea where she is. So he basically enlists his help to go on a trip across LA that lasts all night, hence the title All Nighter. And it's one of those, he's a screw up and the father's a very straight-laced, proper guy who does not approve of him at all, but he needs his help to find his daughter. So it's very much a bonding film for the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend, and the father of his ex-girlfriend. And you couldn't get two characters, not actors, two characters that are more polar opposites than these two. And it's he whatever he does, he can't impress the father. The father just doesn't care, doesn't want to know. But over the course of the night, they do form some sort of bond. I won't say too much because it's worth the journey. So that is All Nighter. All right, number 6. Number 6, we have an older one on here. This is a film from 1980 called The Private Eyes. And I saw this a number of times. We taped it off TV. And I tried to get the DVD, and the DVD for some reason is close to $40. I remember seeing it at Cinema One, I think. So it's a very expensive DVD to try and get. And this is a film starring Don Knotts and Tim Conway. As sort of like a Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, he's Inspector Winship and Dr. Tart. Inspector Winship is Don Knotts and Dr. Tart is Tim Conway. So you got the very serious, straight-laced inspector and the madcap screw-up doctor. Supporting cast, you've got Trisha Noble, Grace Zabriskie from Twin Peaks, and the names of the other supporting cast may not sound familiar, but if you've seen enough movies like I have, you'd recognize them from a number of things. And it's essentially they're called to an estate in, I believe it's in an English country mansion. I think it's in the 1920s it takes place. And it's almost like it's like a scary looking castle, and there's secret passages all over the place, and people are dropping like flies, and there's a murderer running loose in the estate, and it's the epitome of screwball comedy. Very similar to another one a little higher on this list. It's another screwball comedy, but for the sake of this one, because this was back in like 1980s or early 80s, and it's pretty harmless, but there's some lines in it that you'll just never forget. Like there's a mythical creature that Dr. Tim Conway is always talking about, the Wookalar, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's just funny the way he says Wookalar, the way he describes the creature and stuff. Anyway, so that is The Private Eyes. If you can find it, bravo. If you can find it and afford it, bravo. Anyway, all right, so number 5. This is the one that nearly made the other Google Play lists. And it is a film from 2019 called Inside the Rain. And this is directed by and starring Aaron Fisher. And he stars as, no, it's not listing. Anyway, Aaron Fisher is the director and star of this film. And he's basically a student at college, and he's bipolar. So he's always taking medication. He's very, not monotone, but he has a very expressionless delivery. Excuse me, whenever he talks and interacts with people. And he's there, and he's in college, and he meets a girl at a party, sleeps with her, and then whatever, she leaves. But later she comes back. Wait, he ends up taking a bunch of pills. He accidentally, or maybe not accidentally, overdoses on his medication. He's taken to the hospital, comes back to school. She comes by his room, and all he's doing is sorting out his medication. Well, she thinks he's in trouble. He's going to commit suicide again, or attempt suicide again. And so he gets kicked out of school, and he decides to fight. He decides to fight this. And the way he decides to fight it is he's going to make a movie of exactly what happened and present it to the school board as evidence as to why he's innocent, why he should be allowed back to school. So the majority of the movie is him finding, like he meets a stripper at a strip club, befriends her, and gets her to be part of this film project. Meets a guy who can help finance and produce the project, played by Eric Roberts. And he's getting this film together and shooting the film, and it's sort of the journey of him making all these friends, making this movie for a singular purpose. And I thought he had a pretty fascinating delivery as an actor, and I was impressed to find out that he was also the director of the movie, because he looks like a pretty young guy. But I'm curious to see what he does next. I'm not sure if he's done anything since this was just back in 2019. So I'd be curious to see where he goes from here. Rosie Perez is in the movie as well. She plays his therapist. So that was a nice, not so much a cameo because she's in several scenes, but as part of the supporting cast. So So that is Inside the Rain. Number 4, we have the other screwball madcap comedy that I mentioned on here. This is from 1992. It's called Once Upon a Crime. And this is all about, takes place in Monte Carlo, Monaco. And this is all about a murder that happens, and a random group of suspects, random group of crazy characters that all end up being suspects and are all very different from each other and interact in all these crazy ways. But the cast is insane. You've got John Candy, Jim Belushi, Sybil Shepherd, Sean Young, Richard Lewis, Ornella Moody, Giancarlo Giannini as the inspector, George Hamilton, Joss Ackland, and Eugene Levy in a cameo, but he, interestingly enough, is the director of this film. And it is so funny and so quotable, especially by, I guess, the standouts of this movie, I would say, would be John Candy and Jim Belushi, but more importantly, George Hamilton. His role in the movie is just awesome. Very, very, very well done character. Okay, so that is Once Upon a Crime. Number 3, we have a film from 2015, which I saw just a few years ago, and it's called The D Train. And this one stars Jack Black, James Marsden, Catherine Hahn, Jeffrey Tambor, got Mike White in there, Dermot Mulroney plays himself, and Jack Black plays Dan Lansman, and he is the self-appointed chairman or head of the alumni committee or reunion committee for when they do their 10-year high school reunion. He's taken upon himself to organize this. And a way to get more people to show up is there was a guy who went to their high school who has now gone on to be a supposedly famous actor. He appeared in a famous commercial, and Dan, Jack Black, figures if he can get him to come to the reunion, then everyone else will be there and they'll all be impressed with him. And so he goes to track him down, and the events that transpire between the two of them are pretty insane. It's very funny. And it also at the end of the movie, it gave me one of my recent favorite songs, which is Million Stars by, I can't remember the band. It's a band from the 80s, but it starts right at the end of the movie, right before the credits start. And it also explains the title of the movie, The D Train. The D Train is essentially Dan. He tries to make nicknames for himself. So, but watch the movie, you find out how that transpires. The D Train. All right, number 2, we have a film from 1998, a film directed by and also starring David Schwimmer. And it's about another one about a high school reunion. And this one has, you got Joey Slotnick in there, Terry Hatcher, Jon Stewart, Rachel Griffiths, Lara Flynn Boyle, David Schwimmer. And it's all these different crazy characters. Where is he? His name is escaping me. Harry Lennox. Harry Lennox is also in the film as one of the alumni, and the director Cooper from The Blacklist. And it's just all these different characters coming together at this reunion. And my favorite interactions are probably, Liev Schreiber's in there too, as some guy who just won't stop dancing. He's dancing his ass off for every song at the reunion. You've also got crazy events going on between Jon Stewart and Lara Flynn Boyle, and it's one of my favorite, I guess, one of my favorite high school reunion films, along with 10 Years, Grosse Point Blank. And yeah, it's a great film. Another one that I had found it on VHS, and I've had it for years. I might have the DVD somewhere. I can't remember. I think it might just be on the VHS. It was just one that I picked up because I thought it looked interesting. And it's fantastic. Since You've Been Gone. All right, number one. Number one, we have a film from 1991 called Dutch. Dutch is awesome, plain and simple. Ed O'Neill, Ethan Embry, JoBeth Williams, Christopher McDonald. And it's essentially Ed O'Neill is in a relationship with JoBeth Williams. And he's kind of like the lovable, not lovable idiot, lovable kind of lunkhead. Like a much more friendly version of Al Bundy, supposedly. And not supposedly, apparently. And JoBeth Williams' son, played by Ethan Embry, is at a private school. And as a favor to her, Ed O'Neill goes to pick him up from school to bring him back for, I think it's Thanksgiving. Yeah, Thanksgiving. Excuse me. Ed O'Neill plays Dutch. Ethan Embry plays Doyle. And he gets there to pick him up, and the kid is so serious and so straight-laced. He doesn't want anything to do with Dutch. But Dutch is like, I'm doing this for your mother. You're coming with me whether you like it or not. So you've got like the fun-loving guy and the straight-laced, not emotionless, but super serious young adult, almost basically a kid. And it's basically a road trip movie where these two get to know each other and start to bond, kind of like All Nighter, but different setting and different age difference. But I've loved this movie every time I watched it. I saw this. We rented this when we were teens. Then I had the VHS. I had it taped off TV. I had the Blu-ray. I ended up getting rid of it, but I wanted to get it back. Anyway, just awesome. I'd be very surprised if a lot of you haven't seen it, because this is 1991, so it's old now. It's 30 years old, at least 30 years old now. So just crazy to think about. Anyway, Dutch. Awesome. All right. I hope you enjoyed this list as much as I did making it and doing this for you guys. So like, comment, subscribe, suggestions are all welcome. And I will talk to you next time. Toodles.